Whether new shooter, longtime gun owner, or even police officer or soldier, your handgun needs a Crimson Trace laser sight or light. Get the confidence and reliability you need to protect family, home, and country. Crimson Trace.
Today on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, we're talking varmint loads and summertime hunting. To be on the air with Tom, call 866-TALK-GUN. Now, here's Tom.
I'm just rocking out. Listen to this music, getting it started. Get your motor running, baby. Tom Gresham here. It's Gun Talk. It's time for that again. We're going to have a bunch of fun. I've been out shooting some guns and playing with guns and tinkering around with ammo, and I sighted in a whole bunch of rifles on Thursday. That was an interesting experience. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Go to the range with like 15 or 20 different rifles, which is what we use in the TV show. And you got to get them all ready. So it's like an assembly line. You're setting up and you're doing a lot of sighting in. Wow. And usually it's easy. And sometimes you're going, why is this not working? Well, things I've learned again. Sometimes you have to recreate your problems or discover the same ones over and over again. Maybe that's more like it. By the way, if you'd like to join us, it is easy. And I have cleared the decks. We do have a guest coming in last hour today, and that's going to be fun. We'll be talking about bullets and ammunition and loads and long-range shooting and accuracy and a lot of other stuff. But in the meantime, it's just you and me. And we're pretty much open lines. If there's a subject that you want to talk about, I am willing. Well, for the most part. We're not going to talk about doing stupid stuff, but we will talk about guns and loads and scopes and optics and gun cases and safety and gun safes and sighting in and bullets and ammunition and pretty much anything else, whatever is on your mind. If you have a range report, obviously, we'd love to get those. Anything you've taken to the range. If you have been able to get out to the range with your GT20. Love to get that range report from you. I'll also have my thoughts as I go along. I've been reading, it's a small book, but it's a very, very good book. Deadly Force is the title of it. Understanding Your Right to Self-Defense. It's by my friend, Massad Ayub, and it is a masterwork. I think, I will tell you personally, I have a lot of good friends who are gun writers. I think Massad is probably the best gun writer in the country, the best writer. He's a wordsmith. He really understands this stuff. He teaches it. He is careful with his choice of words. He doesn't throw stuff around. He doesn't waste words. So when he says something a certain way, he has thought about exactly why he is saying it that way. I like to think that I do much the same thing. And sometimes I hear people misquoting me back to me. I said, no, that's not what I said. Listen to what I said. I used these specific words to say and mean this specific thing. So if you listen to the very specific words, you will get the specific meaning. And in the book Deadly Force, Massad does a great job of explaining a little bit about guns and ammo. There's a little bit of that in there, but mostly it is the law, what it means, what you can do, what you can't do, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, based in large part on 3.5 decades of being an expert witness, of being in a lot of court cases, working with a lot of defense attorneys, and saying, okay, I know this is the way it should work. Time for a little grown-up time here. Let's have a talk here, because that's, you can say, well, you know, in a perfect world, a good shoot's a good shoot, so it doesn't matter what happens. Well, that's lovely, and Santa might come down the chimney with a bag of goodies for you. But in the real world, a good shoot is a good shoot, but there are other factors involved. And if you are smart, if you are wise, if you are careful, if you are prudent, you will have studied these things. You will know about these other issues. You will have decided what you will carry. You've decided what kind of ammunition you will carry. You will have decided, do I want a trigger job on my gun? You will have decided, will I get involved? Will I not? What will I do? You will have gone there mentally before you ever have to go there physically. And the difference, and here's the thing, and the difference could well be, yes, you might even get off on both of, if you do it well or if you don't do it well. But if you don't do it well, the difference could be $100,000 or $200,000 or $300,000 before you can get out of it in years of facing criminal charges where you didn't have to go through that because you had done your homework. If you do your homework on the front end, it's amazing how much stress, problems you could avoid on the back end. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN. We're going to be open lines today. Let's go straight to the phones. Stephen's with us out of St. Louis on line 3. Stephen, you got yourself a 35 Whelen?
Yeah, I just put together a 35 Whelen and had a question about choosing the right bullet weight for whitetail.
Okay, so what have you shot the gun at all yet?
Yes, I have.
What bullets are you using currently?
My question is, it seems that most of the commercial loads for whitetail are on the lighter weight end, but I've often heard you say that the slower, heavier weight bullets are often better for whitetail because they don't do as much meat damage.
You've never heard me say that, ever.
I thought I did.
You will hear other people say, what did I say before? I said, listen to my words carefully. I don't care about meat damage. In fact, I want as much meat damage as I can get. Meat damage is what kills the critter and puts it on the ground. So when people complain about meat damage, I say, well, then do you want something that doesn't work? You want meat damage. You're destroying tissue. That's how you kill this trophy animal. So you want damage. Now, let me back off to your question. 35 Whelen, great caliber. But you're not shooting a 243 where you need a big, heavy bullet. Everything in a 35 Whelen is a big, heavy bullet. So you have your choices from, 210 maybe? On the
200 to 250 is most of the ones available.
Yeah, and that's not a real great range. It's kind of like you got the full range from A to C, so it doesn't much matter. Question, where do you let's see, you're in St. Louis. Are you hunting in Missouri? Are you going to be hunting out west? Are you looking at long shots, or what are you going to be doing?
In Missouri, so on the shorter end, 150 is probably long for here.
I'd use a good 200, 210 grain bullet, 225. It just doesn't matter. And a lot of the bullets made for 35 caliber cartridges are made for deeper penetration. You don't necessarily need that on whitetail because a Missouri whitetail, even a big one, is 200, 225. I mean, if you found a monster, it might be 250, but it's unlikely. That's just not a real big critter to shoot with 35 Whelen. So I love the caliber. I love 35 Whelens. Let me ask you this. What rifle did you have built for this?
Well, I found a new-in-the-box Remington 700 that was from 1981 in 30-06, and then I had it rebored.
Very, very nice. Now, I like it a lot. Are you going to hand load for this or just buy factory loads?
I'm just doing factory loads for right now.
Okay. Well, anything in that, honestly, I'd probably just settle on like a 225. Make sure you find a load that shoots well in that rifle and not look back. That is, by the way, an honest 300, 350-yard gun. It's not a big, it's not real flat shooting, but it's flat enough. And it'll just anchor anything you want to shoot with it. I congratulate you. I love the 35 weight. I think you have done very well with that one. I appreciate the call. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. My name is Tom Gresham. We'll be right back.
EWL by Slip 2000 is the absolute best gun lube available, period. It will never gum up or become sticky. It won't attract dust, dirt, or sand, and doesn't freeze in cold weather. It penetrates and bonds with a metal-reducing friction and wear, which means less cleaning and easier cleaning. Why not try it? Visit our participating dealer for a free sample or go to slip2000.com. That's slip2000.com.
Alien Gear Holsters, the most comfortable and concealable holsters on the planet, is offering big savings with our new 2-holster combo. Now you can buy 2 complete holsters for as little as $49.88. Choose from any available holster styles and colors for the guns of your choice. All of Alien Gear's quality products are made right here in the USA and include a 30-day trial, forever warranty, and free shell trades for life. Visit aliengearholsters.com today.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. Shopguntalk.com.
Brownells has always given you an advantage. With their huge selection of forever guaranteed gun parts, ammunition, shooting accessories, and more. And now, they're offering you the Edge. For just $49.95, Brownells Edge covers your standard shipping and any return shipping cost for 1 year. Brownells Edge members also receive discount expedited shipping and exclusive offers. Get the Edge today by visiting brownells.com/edge.
Back with you here, 866-TALK-GUN. If you'd like to join us on the air, just give me a call, 866-TALK-GUN. You can shoot me an email, tom@guntalk.com. Of course, you can also join us on Twitter, where I am at GUNTALK over there. Lots of things going on all the time. By the way, we did give away that Trijicon, what a cool scope, 1 to 6 power AccuPoint. Grand prize winner was Randall R. in Pacifica, California. Randall, congrats. If you should have gotten an email on that. If not, be looking for that. If you don't get it in a few days, let us know. Shoot me an email. Or I tell you what, shoot an email to info@guntalk.com. That'll get past me to actually somebody who can really do something about it. Because they always say, if we could get Tom out of the way, we could actually get a lot done in the office here. Yeah, there's some truth to that. Keenan is out of Bossier City on 2. Keelan, I believe it is. How you doing?
Hey, man. Yes, sir. It's Keelan. How you doing today?
Keelan. I'm good. What you looking for?
First off, let me tell you, I didn't even know y'all show existed until I stumbled upon y'all about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I've been listening ever since.
I'm glad you found us.
Yeah. I'm a gun builder. I'm a Class 2. I have suppressors and mainly suppressors and SBRs. And I'm young. I'm 25, about to be 26 next week. But I build all kinds of platforms, 300 blackout, SBRs, 223, AR-10s and everything. But I'm doing my first 9mm pistol build on an AR platform. And I have a question for you about the drop-in conversion blocks and the dedicated conversion magwell blocks, that you drop in. My question was, on the dedicated ones, whenever you drop those in, are they forever there? Do they not come back out as opposed to the drop-ins? Because I've noticed the drop-ins are a little bit more expensive. I
honestly don't know. That you're entering into a world that I just don't know anything about.
Okay.
You're talking about the legality of
no, not the legality.
I'm not even understood. I don't even, okay, if it's a gunsmithing question, I really don't know. They will not let me touch a gun with a screwdriver.
Really?
So, well, yeah, I'm the least mechanical man on the planet. So I don't change oil. I don't do anything. So I am definitely not your guy for that.
Well, I have one other maybe question you might be able to answer.
Sure.
I'm going to be using it's a 7.5-inch barrel on a 9mm and an AR platform. Okay, and they have these drop-in blocks that it's a regular AR magwell, but you drop these in and it accepts 9mm magazines. Well, with the suppressor on the end, from what I understand, you don't have to have a gas tube. It's going to be a straight blowback system. I was wondering if the JPS Enterprises, buffer spring in the back, if that would work with that as well. Do you know if that would work?
You didn't hear me, did you?
Yeah.
I don't take ARs apart. I don't.
I got you.
I don't do any of that. Okay, I'm not your guy. There are lots of places that go for that. Now, we were out shooting a 9mm AR this week, but it was the Stag Arms. It's a dedicated AR. It's not a conversion kit or anything. I like that because the bolt stays open on the last round, and that thing shot like a pussycat. It was great. But in terms of building guns, no. I take it to a guy with a box full of parts and say, please put this back together, would you? Keela, I appreciate that, but I think you're the guy to answer those questions. If you're building these, you need to answer them, and I'll ask the questions on that, because anybody who's listened to this show for any length of time knows they don't let me close to guns with a screwdriver. That never ends well. John is on line 4 in Jackson, Mississippi. Hey, John. Oh, John just dropped off. Let's try John on line 1 out of Nevada. Hello, John.
Hey there, Tom. How are you?
I'm good. 26 Nosler. Did you get one?
Yes. Well, I haven't got it. I haven't got it in my possession yet. We ordered a flat top mount for the scope, and I just love the gun. I've read all the ballistics on it. I wondered if you shot one, or what do you think about the gun?
I have shot it. Let me back up. For those who don't know, the 26 Nosler is a 264 caliber. It goes about, I want to guess, about 300 feet per second faster than the old 264 Win Mag. We actually shot it side by side with a 264 Win Mag. It's a big rifle. Did you get the Nosler rifle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's a big rifle. Got like a 20, I think it's 26-inch barrel. It's a long barrel. It shoots like a laser beam.
Yep.
Yeah, you're going to love it. If you're doing any kind of long-range shooting, now here's the thing, and here's the most important thing of the whole issue, is to use the right bullets. And you don't want the lightweight bullets. You want the longest, most streamlined bullets you can find. If you can shoot those Nosler long-range Accubons, you're home free. But something like that, like a Burger, something that's long-range for long-range shooting, that makes a difference, because it's not the drop that's the issue. And everybody gets confused about this until they become a real long-range shooter. It's the wind drift that is the issue. And a high ballistic coefficient in your bullet is what helps you fight wind drift. It reduces wind drift. So get the highest BC bullets you can. Now, are you going to hunt with this rifle?
Yes, I am. And you know, from what I've read up on it, if you zero it in to 200 yards, it'll shoot flat to 487 yards. That's
what do you mean by
I've read up on.
No. Well, what do you mean when you say it will shoot flat?
Well, it'll shoot. It'll still be zeroed at 487 yards if you zero it in at 200 yards. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't shot it yet, but
okay, you understand that no bullets fly flat or straight. They're always in an arc. So this bullet is going up and then it's coming back down. So the question is, if you're saying it'll hit the same point of impact, no, it won't. But if you're saying it will hit within a 4 or 5 or 6 inch circle, yes. It just depends on how big a circle you can live with. But you are absolutely going to have drop at that distance, just because gravity always exists and bullets do fall. So it just concerns me when somebody says, well, this thing shoots flat. Well, we use that phrase, but it's not shooting straight. It's always an arc where it's like throwing a baseball. It's exactly the same thing. Even a 95-mile-an-hour fastball is curving a little bit.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I understand that part, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we do a lot of long-range shooting. This really caught my eye. It's a real intriguing gun. You know, it comes with, well, from what I can find out, you can get a 90 grain or 120 grain Nosler bullet for it right now. And then I was looking on the internet yesterday, I believe it was. Nosler hasn't been letting anybody build these guns, but it looks like Browning is coming out with one. Do you know anything about that?
I do not. I didn't know that Browning was going to do that. I would encourage you, once again, I'm going to encourage you to go with a heavier bullet. 129 grain or 142 grain is the two loads that I see Nosler has. Do not go with a 90 grain bullet, I mean, unless you're going to be shooting prairie dogs. But if you're going to be hunting antelope or something, and if you want the best long-range performance, go with 129 grain, 142 grain, something in that style. It's going to perform better for you. Velocity is not what you're going for here. High ballistic coefficient in your bullet is what you're going for. That will make the difference.
I appreciate that info. That makes a big difference right there.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, I appreciate the call. Yeah, as my friend Dan Zelenka tells me, he says, look, he says, he's long-range, can't parry kind of shooter. He says, when I hear somebody talk about long-range shooting, he wants to talk velocity, I don't pay a lot of attention. He says, but when he starts talking about ballistic coefficient, then I know that's somebody I need to talk to because he knows what he's talking about. Yeah, there you go. That'll work for you. Oh, one of the rifles I was sighting in on Thursday was the 28 Nosler. It's the big brother to the 26 Nosler. 26 Nosler is a 264 caliber. A 28 Nosler is a 7mm or 284 caliber. And I grew up shooting 7mm Remington Magnums, and it's a great cartridge. What this is basically a pretty good step. I haven't actually looked at the numbers, but you're probably looking at 250 to 300 at least feet per second more with the 28 Nosler. Again, big rifle, long barrel, but if you got to reach way, way out there and hit something hard, that's going to be a heck of a rig. It is, man. And the Nosler rifles are so nice. A lot of people still don't know that Nosler makes rifles. They make great hunting rifles. Well, that makes sense because the guys at Nosler, John and Bob, John, they are all hunters. That's what they do. That's where their good bullets they have the DNA of hunting throughout their line. Yeah, they make really good, accurate bullets, but at the core, they make bullets that perform well on critters. So that's what they're all about. So where they designed their Nosler rifle, it's not just a rebadged somebody else's rifle, it's their rifle. And they built it right there in Oregon. They built a hunting rifle, and I love them. One of the things I like is that at least I think it's one of the models, maybe two of the models, they have left-handed versions, which appeal to me, of course. Again, shooting handguns right-handed, long guns left-handed. Always have an alibi, right? It's a darn poor shooter that doesn't have an alibi ready at any given time. But yeah, that thing shot well. Now, when you get to big guns like that, you're shooting a pretty good sized bullet and it's going fast. You got a lot of powder behind it, and the weight of the powder is part of the factor in recoil. Yes, they're going to kick. You know what? You can't have a Magnum that doesn't kick. But the fact that the rifle is heavier really does help reduce the felt recoil. So it's really not bad. Now, if you do it after a day of sighting in and you shot like 15 rifles before that, you get a little bit sensitive to it. And of course, being a brilliant person I am, I saved the 28 Nosler to the very last. The good news is we got it sighted in about 4 shots. That wasn't a problem at all. 866 Talk Gun. I'm Tom Gresham. This is Gun Talk.
Covering all aspects of gun ownership every week on this fine radio station. You're listening to Gun Talk with Tom Gresham.
All right, back with the 866 Talk Gun. I've mentioned I'm reading Deadly Force, Understanding Your Right to Self-Defense by Masada Ayub. One of the things he goes into great length on, and it's important, I think, for you to understand, if you carry a gun, if you have a gun for home defense, for self-defense, in any form or fashion. Once again, if you get your knowledge of things from the general media, you are probably badly misinformed. And in most things, that's not a big deal. You just don't know. In this case, it can make a big difference in what happens to you and what happens to your life. Case in point, stand your ground laws. You've heard of that. Stand your ground laws. And they've been passed in a number of states. The media gets it wrong 100% of the time. If you've not studied what stand your ground laws mean and what they are, you will get it wrong. If you get it wrong and you use the term stand your ground after a self-defense shooting, there is at least a chance you could end up putting yourself in grave legal jeopardy. So I return to the initial question. Do you know what stand your ground laws are? The former Attorney General Eric Holder didn't know. The chief law enforcement officer of the country. The prosecutor in the George Zimmerman case didn't know. None of them seem to know what stand your ground laws are or what they mean. They have nothing. Let me repeat, nothing. Let me repeat one more time. Absolutely nothing to do with whether or not you are justified in firing a gun in self-defense. But I thought, I know, because you listen to the general media. Let me say that again. Stand your ground laws have nothing to do with whether or not you can legally use your gun in self-defense. They simply were passed because in some states, let's take Florida, for example, there was a requirement that you had to vacate, you had to retreat if you were attacked, but only if you could do so with absolute safety for you and everybody around you. So the truth is the stand your ground law really didn't do much at all. And the justification for using lethal force in self-defense didn't change at all. Probably hasn't changed where you live. Stand your ground laws, let me say this carefully, generally are misrepresented by the media because they don't know. But the reason they don't know is because the people who are talking to them, whether they're prosecutors or Michael Bloomberg or gun banners, they misrepresent stand your ground laws on purpose, knowingly frightening people to say, well, people will just shoot other people and claim stand your ground and then nobody can do anything about it. Well, it's clearly untrue. A bad shoot's a bad shoot, no matter what. You can say anything you want. You can say I was defending my life, but if you go and run somebody down and chase them down and stab them and beat them with a baseball bat and do all this other stuff, you can't say you were defending your life. You weren't in fear for your life. So the Bloombergs of the world lie. Gun banners have to lie because logic demands that's the only way that they can present their point. Did you see the story last week of the lady who was testifying in front of the Texas legislature? She was identified as being with the Moms Demand Action, the Bloomberg gun ban group. And she went on and on about campus carry and about different gun control things. You have to get gun control. And then she says, and I know because my son was diagnosed with all these medical problems, these mental problems. And then she finishes up and says, and my son killed my husband, leaving everyone to think, wow, got a gun, shot his own father. Except for the one little fact that he actually killed his father with a pipe. Gun banners have to lie. They have to try to convince the public that we're having an epidemic of gun violence. The truth, of course, is that gun violence is down more than 40% in 20 years. Let me say that again. Gun violence is down more than 40% in 20 years. But if they say that, if they say the truth, they can't frighten people into restricting gun ownership. So they have to lie. On and on and on again. So what are we faced with? Well, we see stories on the Hill, this public paper up in D.C. that says the Obama administration is preparing a sheet full of new regulations about guns that it's going to put forward. Not laws, but regulations with the force of law. Regulations that could put you in jail for years that no one ever voted on. Part of Obama's legacy, he promised he would get gun control. He promised he would. He hasn't been able to. So now, in typical Emperor Obama fashion, he's saying, well, don't worry about it. We'll just do it bureaucratically. See if they can stop me. That's been his thing all along. I'm going to do it. What are you going to do about it? I'm the prez. Yeah. And if you like that one, wait till you see what Hillary Clinton would do. Man. 866-TALK-GUN. This is Gun Talk.
Everyone knows that dry fire practice can make you a better shooter. Make it count with the Score Time Laser Trainer Target from Laserlight. Use your own gun with Laserlight Laser or the Laserlight Trigger Time Laser Pistol to get great practice and have fun doing it. It's like an electronic dartboard target for your gun, with scoring, timer, and shot display. To see more, go to laserlight.com. That's laser, LYTE.com.
A great trigger can make you a better shooter. For over 60 years, Timney triggers have been trusted by hunters and shooters everywhere. Timney triggers are proudly made in the USA and come with a lifetime warranty. Installation is easy. Give yourself the Timney Trigger advantage. To see more and order online, go to timneytriggers.com. That's TIMNEY triggers.com.
Making news 30 years ago, the modern internet made strides when 5 supercomputers were linked to form a network. It was the same year ArmScore entered the U.S. market. What a coincidence. Why not use the internet to celebrate? Get big online discounts and rebates on the world's #1 selling 1911s from Rock Island Armory and quality ammunition from ArmScore. Get yours at armscore.com/GUNTALK. ArmScore, USA strong for 30 years.
The XDM 3.8 Compact from Springfield Armory is 2 guns in 1. Use as your concealed carry gun with a compact magazine and use the extended magazine for home defense. Carry 13 rounds of 9mm in the compact magazine and a whopping 19 rounds in the extended magazine. To see the entire family of Springfield Armory XDM pistols, go to springfieldarmory.com. That's springfieldarmory.com.
All right, back with the 866 Talk Gun. I do want to make sure that I spell this out. The lady I was talking about who testified in Texas, Leslie Irvin was her name, and her son killed her husband using not a pipe, I was mistaken, a pipe wrench and a knife. Now, she was wearing the Mom's Demand Action shirt, testifying on a gun issue, and said that her son killed her husband, leaving everyone to think that this involved a firearm. We see this a lot. They simply have to lie. They have to cheat. They have to mislead. Unfortunately, the media, when it comes to this one issue, more than any other that I'm aware of, the media parks its skepticism at the curb. It won't ask the kind of questions like, well, if gun control works, why is it that the cities with more gun control have more crime? And how is it that over the last 20 years we've had millions and millions of more guns and much, 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 much less crime and much less crime with firearms? Those two facts, those seem to actually make a lie out of your statement that more guns equals more crime. Where's the media? Where is its skepticism? It's interesting. You could talk to a reporter and he or she would never print an NRA press release, never use an NRA press release as the basis for an article. But they will take a press release from the Violence Policy Center, a gun ban group, and spin that off into an article every single time. If you ask them what that's about, they say, well, the NRA is a lobby group, and VPC isn't, and Mom's Demand Action isn't, and Every Town for Gun Control isn't, and Illegal Mayors Against Guns isn't, but you'll use their press releases as the basis for an article and present what they say as fact without ever asking, without ever checking, without going to the sources. Not checking the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, not checking the accident stats out there, accidental deaths, which are at accidental deaths with firearms are at the lowest point ever. Simple matter. Heck, all you got to do is Google it. Every reporter knows how to Google it. But if you did that, then you might not have your story. And oh, my gosh. Brian's in Vancouver, Washington on 3. Brian, thanks for your patience. What you doing out there?
Oh, just sitting around today listening to you. But
you doing some loading?
Not now. Decades ago, I got into reloading my rifle cartridges after reading a book by Warren Page called The Accurate Rifle.
Right.
I got separated from that book because it was such a good read, and somebody else thought it was more important to them than to me, so they kept it.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, how can I help you?
Well, I'm looking for information, perhaps published data. Really, I'd like published data somewhere on the reloading techniques of Warren Page, particularly where he was putting a faster burning powder over the primer and then a slower burning powder for the bulk of the load. And
duplex loads.
Yes.
Yeah, they're called duplex loads.
Duplex loads. And I haven't found a source for this on the internet. And I know that some...
Here's what's going on. Generally speaking, you're not going to find anybody publishing that anymore because it's a bad idea. Warren Page, got to remember, Warren Page was writing about this in the 40s and the 50s. There was a lot of experimentation going on. And also Warren Page was pretty careful. He was a good shooter and a careful shooter, but no one I know now would recommend a duplex load. The chances of screwing up a load are just too high. I
can appreciate that, Tom, and I expected that would be the answer. Nonetheless, I'm just curious about it to see
about the history of it.
Yeah, and I also know that some of the factory loads have been made up that way as well. Primers have gotten better in that amount of time, so they're more consistent. But I know people are consistently, when they're trying to reload, they'll go to powder like 4350 and think they're going to get a better accuracy load out of it, when actually they're just pushing a heavier bullet at a faster rate. And that's what suffers, is the accuracy suffers from the faster burning powders if you're just using a single powder. So anyway, I'm just curious to find, to research that and find out.
And I don't know. I tell you what you might want to do. Contact the folks at Rifle Magazine in Prescott, Arizona. They're Wolf Publishing. And they may have it in their archives. A couple of decades ago, I was the editor of that magazine. But they may have some data, some information in their archives about duplex loads there. And I appreciate that. I wish you luck with it. Yeah, just as a historical matter to look into that, I would not advise anybody using duplex loads, trying to craft your own, trying to home concoct anything. There may have been some duplex loads in factory loads. I don't know of any. I can't imagine a factory wanting to do that just because it'd be complex to do that. I don't know, it'd be high-speed loading machines that can do that. Not saying that it didn't happen. I don't think that's the case now. And in terms of accuracy, it's interesting. Sometimes you get better accuracy by going faster. Sometimes you get better accuracy by slowing it down. Mostly you get better accuracy by using a lot of care in your loads, a lot of care in your shooting technique. But finally, what you end up doing is matching the harmonics of the barrel vibrations by tweaking the load slightly. 1/10 of a grain up, 1/10 of a grain down, you're measuring. It's tedious, but it's great fun if you're a true gun geek the way I am. Go out to the range with 50 or 100 different cartridges loaded up, 5 at a time, changing the powder charge by 1/10 or 2/10 of a grain in each one. Shoot them for accuracy, shoot them for velocity, making notes. And as you increase the powder charge, you'll see the groups get bigger and smaller, or smaller and bigger. Yes, I am a gun geek. Of course I am. It's fun, what I got to do. It's what we do. 866 Talk Gun. Calling all gun geeks right here. This is Gun Talk. All right, with you, Tom Gresham. By the way, don't forget, if you don't have your DVDs, the ones that we produce, Conceal Carry 1, Conceal Carry 2, Fighting with the 1911, which applies to all pistols. Really good DVD. And, of course, First Person Defender. You go to shopguntalk.com. They got some package deals over there. Shopguntalk.com, and you can pick those up. If you can't be shooting, you need to be studying. And the more you study, the better you get, the more you make your mind the weapon, which it is. Getting out of a place, moving, is the key. I almost hesitate to quote this because I didn't hear him say it, but Chris Serino said that he heard Paul Howe, great firearms instructor, by the way, Nacogdoches, Texas area. He was in the middle on the ground at the Black Hawk Down episode in Somalia. And what Chris told me is that Paul said the hardest thing for him to do in the middle of all that was to stop moving his feet and to start using his sights. Food for thought for you right there. Brian, line 4, Anderson, South Carolina. What you working on there, Brian?
Oh, fooling around with a 1911, Tom, and I wanted your opinion. I read a book, I think it was Patrick Sweeney's 1911 book on disassembling a 1911, and I wanted your opinion on the best way to do it, whether it is truly to turn the bushing a few degrees and take the spring and the plunger out the front, or if it's to push the slide to the rear and remove the slide stop pin with the spring intact and take it out the bottom.
Well, if you watch me doing it, the term monkey and football come to mind.
Yeah, that's the same way I look. There must be a better way that I'm doing it. Because the bushing is so tight that it's nearly impossible to get it out.
Well, I tinker around with them, and I'll do whatever it takes. I'm finally just shove on it and get it out of there. I don't know what the best way is. I will tell you, if Patrick Sweeney says one way is the best, I'm probably going to go there. By the way, you are using a bushing tool. Yeah, you're using a bushing tool to turn the bushing, though, right?
Yeah, and it's so stinking tight. It's a Les Baer, and I think they tried to make it one piece of metal. And it's not fun to get. It's not fun to get out.
Les Baers, they love it being tight. I mean, I swear, I think that the Les Baers, their attitude is, if we can make it tight enough to where it almost doesn't function, it's perfect. You know, it's now and it's masterfully produced, and they build great guns and all of that. Okay, but now I start to understand what you're talking about. If you got a Les Baer, yes, you need the bushing tool. I would certainly keep it lubed. But in terms of what's the best technique, I don't know, honestly. Any way you can to get it out of there, taking your time. You figure out what works best for you. I mean, and I'm not kidding. When I do it, I just kind of work around with it until I can get all the parts loose and I got to lay it on the table. I am, and you know, people, they laugh at me, said, no, I am not mechanical. I'm a gun geek, but when I look at parts or how things go together, I look like a frog staring at a wristwatch. I have no idea how stuff goes together or how it comes apart. Just don't. And it's amazing to me, and look, I appreciate the call. People who can look at stuff mechanically and go, okay, I got it. And we'll do this and this and this. And I'm going, you know, you could have given me a week and I would still be just staring at this thing. So whatever it is, that man gene thing that makes you able to work on things, I didn't get that. If I built a bicycle for a kid, you would not want your kid to ride on that bicycle. Just that thing there. Yeah, I can do light bulbs. I can change batteries. And when we get past that, I may be going online for help. So there you go. Yeah. We all have our good things, then we have our weak areas. And I like Clint Eastwood's line, a man's got to know his limitations. Hey, when we come back, we're talking about your guns, your range reports. I want to talk a little bit more about your commitment to yourself, to your family, to your children, in terms of self-defense, of studying, becoming a student of this all the time. What do you do? That's the question on the floor. What do you do to keep yourself tuned up, whether it's from shooting or studying or anything else? 866-TALK-GUN, 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back.